Good morning or good
morning.
afternoon at this point.
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
How are you? Ooh, I didn't share. I meant to share to the to the destinations. I didn't share.
I don't know how to do that.
Darn it. I was supposed to go in and
If you're watching this, please share this.
yes, share.
We're gonna do it later. We're gonna
Share and share alike. Yes. Yes, I'll definitely share it after the fact. Yes. So, hello. How are you?
I am fantastic.
Good.
We're all just having a wonderful retrograde season.
Oh boy. We're getting confronted with a lot of things. And so I thought to myself, what a perfect time to talk about shadow work.
Wonderful.
And
a lot of people don't understand what that actually is.
Right? And why not bring Danny, who teaches the class,
Absolutely,
to talk about it, right?
Absolutely an expert.
Does that workshop. So why not bring Danny? So we'll be talking with Danny, one of Pentagram's psychics. You may be familiar with Danny if you watched Dead Hot with us and also Vanessa Hudgens and Gigi McGree. So you may have seen Danny if you watched that on Tubi. And if you haven't, you should. Absolutely should. So if you haven't watched it yet, go watch it. But stay here now. Stay here with us for now. But make plans to watch Dead Hot. It's a fun time.
Absolutely.
So,
it is a blast.
Yeah. So yes. So I have a class coming up. Speaking of classes, I just want to get that out there. It's this Sunday. It's the first class in the new space. So should be fun. I still have seats available, by the way. So if anybody wants to come in and do crystal stuff with me, and bring your crystals if you have them, like if you want to bring a little satchel of crystals, I'm totally going to. I'm just going to grab I'm totally going to bring, this used to sit on my reading table whenever I was doing readings. I'm totally going to bring a little show and tell. So if you want to bring crystals, bring them. We're going to do a grid together. It's going to be a good time. We're going to learn all about crystals. We're going to do all kinds of stuff.
I love when the earth gives us the blessings we need.
Absolutely. Yes. And I always find that when I'm drawn to a crystal and I'm really vibing with it, especially if it's one that I've never encountered before and I'm just really drawn to it, I don't look it up right away. I sit with it for a while and I let it talk to me and I see what it's telling me. And then I look up, any of its history and lore. And then I always find, oh, this is exactly what I need right now. So that's why I'm attracted to this. Okay. Kind of like when you're like craving a certain food, like spinach or something out of nowhere. And you're like, why am I craving spinach? Then you'll look up what's in spinach and you're like, oh, my body needs this. I'm low on this right now. My body's telling me to eat some of this so that I can get some of these nutrients. It's like that. So, so everybody feel free to join in and in the comment section because live views show up there. I don't know where, I don't know if can I share now? I'm wondering if I can, I don't know if it'll let me.
Yeah, I think you can. Give it a shot.
Hold on, let me see. Let's see.
Lou, how do I go about sharing this?
So go up to your audience.
Yeah, on the upper right-hand part of your screen, it says share to your audience.
Oh, all right. Beautiful.
Yeah, I got to do that. I got to do that. There we go. Okay. Now it's shared. It's shared on Gallows Hill Witchery. So that's where everybody will probably jump on it. because not necessarily everybody is a YouTube fan. So we have to kind of coax everybody to the YouTube channel.
Yes, I would
People got
love
really
that.
used to seeing us on Facebook. They got really used to that, and so we have to kind of manage that.
Absolutely. And I am sending that out just right now. Lovely.
Perfect. Uh-oh, what just happened?
She sent herself out.
Oh no. Oh no. No, don't let this happen again, Leanne. Please get back here.
Yeah, she's coming back. She's coming back.
That's what
Oh
I
my
get for
gosh.
touching anything during a live.
Yeah,
I am
no.
back.
Yeah,
I am
no.
back.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Here we are.
Oh,
Let's do it.
not again.
Oh
No.
my God.
Okay.
Oh,
All right.
tarot.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Yes. There's everybody.
Okay.
Here
I
comes
thought
everybody.
it was very, very interesting. Oh, well, let everyone kind of strong. Hello, everyone. Hello, Patricia. Oh, Jeff, we are your
Good
ladies.
afternoon, everybody.
Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon.
All right. So we're working on the tarot of the month.
Yes.
Yes.
Tarot of the month.
Very, very interesting card. I pulled it this morning, and it's this little guy, this little inspiration. Okay. He is welcoming and new ideas, discovery. He has limitless potential in a free spirit. Okay. But sometimes he's a little, sometimes he redirects us. Sometimes his ADD kicks in. So we have to remain focused with all these amazing things that are happening. Pages are often seen as messages, and they come to you with new opportunity and new ideas. They encourage you to go for it. That's that green light and that initiative that will push you through. When pages often come, they're trying to make alive some kind of new ideas and starting new projects. So you have to really look at this and start embracing the scary, because sometimes new and new beginnings are terrifying. But
Yes.
new journeys are what makes us alive. If we remain stagnant, we die. Okay, so we need to just constantly push ourselves forward. Listen. Create a solid plan first, even though the Page of Wands is so like, let's go do it. Let's go run and do it now. He's got that fire behind him. Make sure you have some spirit allies with you to keep you grounded as you're doing it. You need to remain level-headed when you're beginning new projects. And you have to make sure you're directing your energy properly if you're headed in the right directions. Listen, a lot of us people have this page energy. Sometimes I really feel it in myself, and it makes me so happy, but it also becomes overwhelming because this is the gift of dreaming, of different ideas. And, we're not thinking about all the problems that have to come. And trust me, during this retrograde season, there's going to be plenty of things to slow us down. So we have to make sure, much like this page, that our staff is firmly planted on the ground to make sure we're not going anywhere until that one task is completed. So don't do all the things. Do one step at a time, and you are going to get yourself ahead and start some new fun endeavors, whether they be spiritual, whether they be career, whether they also can be relationships. Make sure you're open to it and you're excited to receive the blessings.
I'm excited to receive the blessings.
Get them all. Get them all.
I'm all about the blessings. Come on in, blessings.
Let's do it. Let's start a new
I'm
creative
swinging
project.
the door open.
Yeah.
Welcome in, blessings.
I love him. It's like he's making the big noise in the universe, but he's not spilling anything over because he's very much so in control of himself. Even though he's young and it's a new idea, he's a page, he is ambitious and he does have that enthusiasm starting out his journey.
Absolutely.
I
love that he's kind of got some almost like pyramids in the background. Those mountains that need to be climbed or what have you that are lining up back there. Kind of like
the challenges,
new horizons, new challenges.
letting go of the past so you can have some new things in your life, letting
Mm.
go of what harmed you and moving on swiftly with excitement and joy, just gobbling up all the new things.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. And absolutely, um, with those new things and with all that, fresh energy and the clearing out, of the old, we have balance, which is my always going to be my keyword as a Libra, but we've got to find that balance. So we don't, like you said, don't take on every single new thing. You're climbing one mountain at a time, folks. You might eventually climb the whole mountain range, but you're not doing all of them on the same day. You're not trying to get everything done on the same day. So it's like we want to see what works, you know? So I get it. A lot of people want to dip their toe in a bunch of things at the same time. I understand that pull. The new shiny thing has a lot of, it's like, ooh, the new shiny thing. But we also want to temper that with an understanding of self and what we can take on so that we don't overwhelm ourselves. And that's, one of the things we're talking about today is the idea of that balance. That's part of shadow work, is understanding the self and being able to not get burned out, not get overwhelmed, you know what I mean? But understand like what you can and cannot, take on when you're taking on these new things. Right.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Because new things we get sometimes the other thing, especially with me, when I start something new, sometimes my daily maintenance gets left behind. My day to
right.
day. I'm so excited to go and start this new thing, but I forgot to pay my electrical bills. I didn't do my laundry because I'm
Right.
so excited to come in and break into a new book or discover a new path that my other daily practices have fallen aside because I am so committed to whatever's new and shiny. It just
Mhm.
triggers me. We need to have balance, and we need to be able to use these opportunities to really, like, looking at your shadow self. What is it that you really need to work on? Because we
Mhm.
can't always see what we need to work on because we're so in front of it. We're so close to it.
Right. Truth. Truth.
Yeah.
So how about some stones that can help us when we are working on all these things? How about some crystals that can support that journey of doing shadow work or, exploring that, trying to bring things into balance, you know, kind of like navigating us with transformation. One of the stones that I want to talk about, a lot of people um, may have heard of this stone recently because it kind of had like a boom in 2022 where everybody kind of was like, ooh, all about it. And that is orca agate. So, orca agate, which I specifically love, I have a heart shaped one that I adore. So, I specifically love that. This one has super, super crystal druzy on the top of it. So, I use this like a palm. I use this like a palm stone. Um, so, this is my like go-to orca agate. The stones that have like a black and white balance are often associated with bringing the darkness into the light, aligning ourselves, um sort of like either if you are a follower of the chakras, then kind of aligning those chakras, bringing ourselves into balance, grounding ourselves in, and just basically bringing ourselves into alignment and emotional stability, physical stability, etc. So, also another stone that kind of falls into that category is zebra jasper. And one of the biggies for me is snowflake obsidian. So here's the team. This is kind of the self-transformation shadow work team, right? Because I do a lot with my Council of Skulls. So we've got zebra jasper, snowflake obsidian, and another one that I'm wearing quite a lot of actually, which is banded black agate. So banded black agate is also, and we talk about that actually in Awakening the Crystals. We talk about banded agate and how it is excellent for that supportive transformation. Stones that reveal the truth. So stones that crumble the illusion. The Tower might have been a good card for today too. Just saying, crumbling the illusion, bringing out the truth into the light so that we can deal with it and process it, so that we're not stifling it, so that we're actually able to bring it, drag it kicking and screaming out of the darkness. I'm actually wearing some snowflake obsidian today, and also, of course, with my badass. So when I'm doing this work, and a lot of people will talk to you about obsidian's job for shadow work, and I would say tiger eye with shadow work for courage, hematite for grounding and balance, for grounding yourself in that emotional grounding, and also, of course, the obsidian, which will protect you and it will clear away the detritus, right? So the badass bracelet's perfect for this. And then on the other side, I have another stone that's really often associated with shadow work, which is black moonstone. And that's actually this one, this sphere, black moonstone, because it's ruled by all the dark goddesses and it's associated with the dark goddesses and it's associated with the wisdom of the crone. Black moonstone is also an incredible stone to put on your body when you are, or hold, or what have you, when you're doing this kind of work. And I also want to talk a little bit about blue moonstone, which is a newer, that's the sphere that I was playing with earlier, is blue moonstone, which has also the benefits of labradorite. So it's moonstone and it also has sunstone and the benefits of labradorite all in one. So like, get your ancestors behind you. If part of your shadow work has to do with healing generational trauma, then you want that. You definitely want that. I would also say like petrified wood, and even amber and jet can be amazing for that. And then the last one that I want to mention, oh, and here's my little snowflake obsidian that I've had since forever. And it's like shaped like a duck's foot, which cracks me up every time. But this has been in my reading bag since I don't even know how many years, like too many years to count. So, but the other stone that I want to mention is chrysocolla. And I want to mention it for the simple fact that one of the things you want is compassion. When you're doing this kind of work that we're going to be talking about today, you want compassion for self, compassion for those around you, compassion in general. You know, I think why are we talking about shadow work in general? Why would we be talking about this? It's a psychological concept. It relates back to Carl Jung. It's not technically like actually a part of witchcraft, right? It's more psychology. People are probably going to come at us in the, saying, oh, this is all self-helpy and stuff. But honestly, as a witch, you owe it to yourself and your community to be the most healed version of yourself that you can be. You don't want that, you don't want these things running around inside of you unchecked because they manifest themselves as all kinds of negative things. Including anger and depression and all kinds of things that this can manifest itself as. And I feel like as a witch myself, and I'm only speaking for me right now, I feel like because I want to get in touch with my true will and I want to live that, I want to be the best version of me that I can be. And because I feel like I have a responsibility here. I've said this before. I'm here to have fun and serve others, right? That's my priestessing. So how am I going to best do that? I'm going to be the best me that I can be. I want to approach the world with love, with integrity, with, feelings of, basically honoring, the gods and the idea of, basically interacting well on the planet, right? With love for not only humanity, not only do I want to improve the lives of me and everybody I love, but also my greater community, humanity, and ultimately all living things, all the living things that are all interconnected here. How am I best going to do that? I'm going to be the best version of me that I can be. I'm going to heal myself so that I don't continue to hurt others through the parts of me that I don't want integrated for whatever reason. And the main reason I think that that happens is shame. And we want to eliminate the shame around the darker parts of ourselves and integrate those. So that's why we're talking about this today. That's why we're talking about shadow work today. And before we bring Danny on to do that, let's bring on Tim SoaringWolf, because he's going to talk about why right now, from a planetary perspective, is the time to start getting into this.
Hey, ladies, thank you for having me. Good to see you again. And yes, let's talk about the astrology of August. We just passed the 8/8 Lionsgate portal. We are in Lion Leo season. And so a lot of people are talking about them. This is a great time to manifest. And this kind of goes along with that page card, Leanne, with the fire element. And, Leo is a fire sign. So we are a little more inspired this month. We're a little more hopeful, looking towards the future, and just a little more optimistic. And so this is a great time to put those positive thoughts, especially this new moon coming up August 16th in Leo. And Leo rules the heart as well. And definitely our hearts and relationships have been tested this month with Venus in retrograde. So it's all to the end of the month. And then we've got Mercury retrograde on to about 2 weeks, I believe, actually 2 weeks from Wednesday, yesterday. So we are in the shadow period of Mercury retrograde already. Might start to see some of those effects. But so with Venus, of course, she was the evening star for the past 18 months. And now as she goes retrograde, will soon become the morning star. And so she literally disappears from the sky. But this does not mean that the love is gone, even though it may feel like it. This does not mean that nobody loves you anymore, nobody cares about you, although it may feel like it. It just, the energy is reversed, turn inward. We are meant to look at the relationship with ourselves and to see if we're not being valued, this is the time where it's going to come up, or if we don't feel like there's an equal exchange of energy of value. And it does come back to balance. A lot of balance. I love the topic of today because I am a dream interpreter, and that is my main forte, actually, even before astrology. And I have a dream group and a book I'm writing, and I talk a lot about in that group about the relationship between body, mind, and soul. And a lot of people don't think about that, or nurturing the soul as much as we nurture our body or our minds, right? So I love that. But yeah, Venus retrograde, relationship that has turned inward. So we're focusing on that relationship with ourselves. I know I really focused a lot on that with myself. I've done some tremendous shadow work myself recently. And then with Mercury retrograde. So the energy is pointed not just inward, but also to the past. So if there are past issues that need to be resolved, they can come up. Like Chiron is even retrograde right now. We've also got Pluto, Neptune, Saturn retrograde. Saturn is Father Time, Lord of Karma. And recently I've heard a lot of talk, even I think it was the weekend of the 5th, about ancestors coming out. You mentioned ancestors, Sandra. And this is astrologically a time with several planets pointed to the past, where ancestors will come to the forefront a lot more easily. I can speak from my own experience. Just me and my wife were in Santa Fe last weekend and had our own personal experience of a very close relative visit us. And I know other people and other spirit, even on social media, talking about ancestors coming to the forefront. So yes, retrograde energy is great for that, past life regressions, past life healing, even just connecting with yourself, all that shadow work. But yes, Venus retrograde, this will affect Libras, Taurus, specifically. That is your ruling planet. And we also had the shifting of the nodes last month, that we are now in the Libra South node, Aries North node. Now, what that means, in old astrology, the North Node was the head of the dragon, the South Node was the tail. So the head is where we're headed, like destiny, and the tail is what we are meant to flick off and leave behind. This does not mean that we are throwing all Libras to the curb for the next 18 months. This is if you can imagine, we want to focus on the positive aspects of Aries and leave behind the negative aspects of Libra. So obviously both signs have both good and bad, but we will see an increase. So just like before this time, past 18 months with the North Node in Taurus, we saw a huge increase in beauty industries, restaurant industries. I mean, movies like The Menu came out, movies about restaurants and about other things, everything to do with Taurus, money, property. I mean, I was basically had to move because my landlord wanted to sell their house just this past 18 months. So we saw a lot of Taurus things. Now we're going to see a lot of Aries things. We may even see an increase in military or an increase in independent businesses, people just being more independent in general and going out and pioneering. We're going to maybe see a lot of pioneering inventions even. Aries is the new fresh energy that comes in. That's the positive, right? The negative of Libra is Libras, you are peacemakers. You sometimes are too much of a peacemaker to want to please everyone and you forget about yourself. That is a negative trait that we are leaving behind. We're leaving behind pleasing everyone. We're leaving behind some of that diplomacy that can lead to the negative passive aggressiveness or even just not being confrontational, dealing with things directly like Aries, right? So this is the time we want to be bold, direct, and just face things directly as best possible to gain that magic wand energy of the North Node. And then, lastly, just wanted to talk about that, retrograde energy we've got. Again, Pluto is also moving retrograde. I just wanted to mention that as it moves closer to that 27th degree of Capricorn, this will be the final connection of the Pluto return of the United States. And so we've already been seeing a lot of pressure and changes within our country about a lot of things. This will be that final connection where we may see a complete revolution and change probably in our country or a complete collapse of several systems. And we are kind of already starting to see that forefront. So just wanted to mention that Pluto is a slow moving planet. So it will happen slowly, but we are already starting to see all those effects. But otherwise, retrograde doesn't have to be a bad time. Retrograde will cause a different direction. And I'd like to say, imagine walking backwards. It's uncomfortable. It's uneasy. You're using different muscles. You're looking at things differently. It feels weird, but it doesn't mean that you can't benefit from it. You can't get stronger from it. You can't learn and be able to just take that wisdom as you move forward. But with that, full moon at the end of the month, 31st is going to be a blue moon because we had a full moon on the first of the month. So this is a double full moon happening at the end. And with that, can't wait to hear about what Danny has next about the shadow work. But I have my sun in the 12th house. So any people that have 12th house aspects, this is a great show for you. 12th house aspects, if you know, have to do with your subconscious, psychology, finding that balance between the conscious and the subconscious. And that is, again, part of my life lesson. So I know a lot about that. And I found a lot of balance by listening to my intuition, listening to my emotions, listening to the feminine side of who we are, right? The moon sign, our emotions, our intuition, our gut instinct, and that's to me what creates true balance, because we're told not to listen to those things sometimes, or dreams. They're not real. Ghosts don't exist. Things like that aren't real. Like, that's our subconscious. Those things don't come from our conscious, logical, masculine part of our personality, our conscious mind. That comes from our subconscious mind. So that is the spirituality part of us, right? And it is important in shadow work. So I won't keep talking. Sorry, my Gemini side.
No. I was just going to say, Libras, they're saying, Libras entering the villain era. And I'm like, I led that charge. I was leading that charge back in 2021, baby. But if everybody else is coming along with, I'll show you the way. I was like, I
Absolutely.
gave up people pleasing in 2021, honey. That old me, oh, she dead, honey. We held the funeral and everything. Like, nope,
Yeah, it's
all
not
done.
that, yeah, some Libras will feel it a little more challenging if they are prone to be imbalanced. Like
Yeah.
you said, that imbalance of, and I'm very big on equal exchange of energy and just relationships in general. When there is more give, less take, creates an imbalance. That's where ingratitude comes in, envy, jealousy, all those negative things, you know. So,
Yep.
Libras, you're going to get a little test and some challenges the next 18 months, but it is to bring out the more positive traits and more independence, because we need a balance of dependence and independence, right? Not just Libras are great teamwork. They've got a great team on their side usually that come to bat for them. But this is about finding that balance of our independence as well, right?
Yep. And thank you for reminding me about that blue moon, because I am absolutely so the light's coming from the opposite. I can't show you how gorgeous this is because the light's coming from the opposites. It's like I'm looking at it and it looks gorgeous, but the aiming at the camera, you can't see it. But the blue inside of this blue moonstone, I am totally charging this up on that blue moon.
Yes,
I'm going to charge
absolutely.
this up for all kinds of shadow work, transformation work that I'm planning on doing all the way through October, etc. And into this, because now we're in the waning year. And as we are in the waning year, I'm going deep, deep, deep within and taking out the trash from the inner me. This is self-work. It's not about other people. It's about the self. So
I don't know when the next blue moon is, but they say it can be up to 2 years for the next one. So that's why they say once in a blue moon is a rarity. So
exactly.
Yep, great that we mentioned that. This is going to be a special full moon at the end of the month for sure.
And I'm definitely going to work with that energy. Thank you, Tim. Well, without any further ado, let's bring Psychic Danny Tracy, to say hi. She's coming to us from Pentagram today.
How are you guys doing?
The beautiful colors of the curtains in the background, right?
How's it going?
How are you doing today?
It's doing great.
Very good. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm super excited. And I wanted to share a cool quote that I found online from Carl Jung. It is often tragic to see how blatantly a man bungles his own life and the lives of others, yet remains totally incapable of seeing how much the whole tragedy originates in himself and how he continually feeds it and keeps it going.
Yes, I love that.
I love that. And there we sum up a lot of psychic work, right? There we sum up a lot of psychic work right there. Because working as a psychic, which everyone in this little trio has done or is currently doing, working as a psychic, part of our job, I believe, is to help people identify where they themselves have become their own worst enemy. Yes or no, Danny?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so important, that people are able to see that side, just so that they can really integrate and be whole.
Yep. And if more people did that, you might be out of a job. I'm just saying. So the fact that you are leading classes to help people do that just goes to show you how few people actually do this work. To actually heal these things and identify and heal these things within themselves. Yeah.
Absolutely. People have a hard time looking into mirrors. They don't want to see it. They're not ready. And that's okay. Sometimes it takes lifetimes.
Yeah. Truth.
Danny, a lot of people don't even understand what shadow work is. Can you tell us a little bit about what it is? Somebody thought it was summoning demons, and I was like, no, that's not shadow work.
Well, our personal demons, I'd say, but it's basically our own descent into the underworld of our soul. It's stuff that we've repressed for years and years. It's childhood trauma. It's all of this, you know, shame. You were talking about shame earlier. That's a huge one that people miss. And like, it's being able to take and uncondition yourself to think that darkness is something that's evil or bad. It's taking that darkness and realizing that we all have parts of ourselves that, you know, we're not either super proud of, stuff that we've done, or you know, stuff that we have within us that we haven't accepted. And it's about accepting those parts of ourselves so that we, you know, come to that balance, which you were also touching on, is so important, because you can't just be all light and you can't just be all dark. You're missing out if you do that.
Our shadow selves can keep us from acting in our own best interest. We self-sabotage based on the unhealed shit that we have going on in our shadow side. And so it, as a witch, it impacts me because I feel like it's what prevents me from achieving what I, you know, my true will, from actually, you know, meeting the, you know, the potential, the fool's journey, you know, the fool stepping off that leap of faith, you know, that whole journey of the tarot trumps. That's what part of what gets in the way, and part of what we're meant to work out through that fool's journey is meeting the other parts of ourselves that we're not proud of, meeting the parts of ourselves that other people have like influenced us into thinking that we're broken, into thinking, oh, there's something wrong with me because I feel this way. And society has made it so that we don't want to express any negative emotions, which that's leading us as witches or as people in the magical community. That's a discussion that leads us towards that toxic positivity, where we're just supposed to, you know, everything, throw rainbows and light and, you know, pink bubbles and, you know, whatever on top of everything, and not actually express when something makes us upset. We're not supposed to express when we're angry or when we're hurt, when we're jealous, when we're whatever. We're not supposed to express those things because, oh, magical people don't feel those things. It's like, no, that's a dangerous road that people go down. And it's the antithesis of what we're talking about, which is exploring, and possibly, by the way, with the help of a therapist. I've got to throw that in there, that especially if you already are aware that you have some pretty significant trauma in your past, no matter how long ago that past was, you definitely want to maybe approach this with a therapist. So, you know, with a professional person who, you know, basically has no emotional link to you. They just have an excellent toolbox that they can share with you of how to, you know, heal from these things. And so it's like, even if you're going to do this sort of self-guided, I recommend, you know, enlisting the help of, you know, of like a therapist.
Oh, absolutely. I tell all my clients to go to therapy. It's so important. It's such an important part. Like, you can't just be, you know, completely spiritual. There's also that mental health aspect, especially like you said, if you've been through trauma, having somebody there who can give you tools to work through that trauma and help you as you go down that descent. And also just like, part of the therapist is you take what you can and you leave the rest. And don't give up, because it's like kissing a bunch of frogs to find your prince. So it might take you a little while to find one that you connect with, but it's so imperative.
Absolutely. Could not agree more. Could not agree more. And I love that. I love that little analogy of kissing the frog. I love that.
Danny, do you have, like, at home, what can I do to kind of really explore that side of me?
So honestly, I would start with getting comfortable with physical darkness. I actually just started reading this book, In the Shadow of 13 Moons by Kimberly Sherman Cook. It's really wonderful. But one thing that she suggests is getting in touch with, you know, just being here in physical darkness. So sitting in the darkness, journaling what thoughts come up. Can you sit there without distraction? Are you afraid or have a fear of actual darkness, and just really starting there. And I also suggest doing, inner child work, like getting a picture of yourself when you were younger and really just connecting with, that version of yourself and seeing and touching base with them.
I also feel like with journaling, there's two kind of ways that I would do journaling. One is just to literally just journal. In other words, what's on your mind that day? What are you what are you going through? What's concerning you? What are you worried about? What are you anxious about? What are you sad about? Whatever. And just kind of open-ended, just journaling. This is how I feel today. This is what I'm dealing with. These are the thoughts that are on my mind today. This is what is kind of going through, my head, because especially if you have some negative self-talk. And then there's that guided journaling that I've gotten into recently. And there's a journal actually that's on the same publisher that with Leanne and I. It's called Burn After Writing.
Yes.
And it's got some prompts in it that are really significant for revealing where you're sore on the inside, what are you repressing? What are the things that you're not saying? I mean, we're in a culture right now where we're sharing constantly our lives with the general public in a way that, decades ago was just not done. We are constantly sharing, but we're also curating that image. We are also holding things back and sharing certain things for certain reasons and other things not so much. So this kind of a guided journal where literally no one is going to read this but you is where you can actually dump all of that stuff. You can reveal whatever you want. And the whole idea of burn after writing is like, no one is ever going to discover this. No one is ever going to read this. You can feel free to express anything you want and not stifle it and not try to shove it down, not try to numb it. We go through so much. At some point in our growth, we realize that pain is not something we want to feel, but it's also not something we want to admit to feeling. And so we start numbing it and we start looking for things to just get rid of it. And we don't actually work through some of these things because we're so busy running away from it that it's like we don't ever actually work through it. And so there's a lot of guided journals out there. Are there any in particular that you would recommend, Danny? Have you worked with any of them or?
I actually have not. There are a lot of good, you can just go on Amazon and there's like a bunch of them. I would just pick one, throw a dart and grab one and see how it goes. But
Maybe
there's
read
so
the
many good writing
reviews.
prompts.
Maybe
Yeah.
read the reviews.
Yeah, reviews are important.
See if people are saying something that makes it sound like it's what you're looking for. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I got a journal on Amazon, and it's not in yet, and I don't remember the name, so I will share it later, for women with ADHD. You had given me a book a couple of years ago, and it had the ability to read a chapter and write notes in it. And I found that very helpful.
The workbook.
I went ahead and I invested in more. I have one that I'm walking around with. I'd read somewhere just to constantly write down your thoughts. It helps me process how conversations go. Do you have any recommendations, Danny, for somebody? I get a lot of imposter syndrome, and it's weird. I can list 12 million things I don't like about myself, but when it comes to those parts in the book where they're like, write something you like about yourself, I feel like such a big douche. I don't write anything. I'm like, well, I got nice boobs and I got great hair. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So the thing, yeah.
No, why should I lie? I'm done with making it up. I'm a mess.
The thing that I usually suggest to people is to, you can't always start with like loving every part of yourself. It's really a gradient scale. So you let's say loving yourself is here and then not loving yourself is here, or not being able to tell yourself good things about yourself. The middle ground would be gratitude. So being able to say, hey, I'm grateful for the fact that I'm really wonderful at touching people's lives. I'm great at public speaking, et cetera, et cetera. And, grateful that I'm able to help people with my gifts because you help so many people with your gifts.
Mhm.
And really just, getting there. And when you're really comfortable with that, you can get to the place where you're like, okay, I really like this about myself, but it starts with gratitude.
Definitely. I love that. I love
I
that.
love that. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes. When I read a lot of Brené Brown, I'm a huge fan, and she talks a lot about shame, which is why I brought it up. And shame is an enemy of authenticity, and one of the things that I think is beautiful about, about us, about this show, if you want to call it that, and about us as people, which we just bring to the show, is our authenticity. It's the fact that Leanne goes, "Oh, I'm a mess," or whatever. It's the fact that we can talk about those things that other people might decide are negative, or that other people might throw at us to try to make us feel shame. But if we don't internalize that and we see it for what it is, then we can continue to be vulnerable with our audience, who are in many cases friends, family, clients, people we know in real life. And so we show up as ourselves, warts and all. We show up as ourselves. And I know I'm speaking for Leanne too when I say this. But if I pull back and speak only for myself, I'll say that whether you see me on this show or you meet me in real life or whatever, this is me. The me you read on social media, that is me. The me that you see, the me that I'm out in public, or me at my house, you're at my house and it's just two of us. Or you're in the swimming pool with me. It's me. It's just always me. So, not everybody feels comfortable doing that. I actually credit some of my childhood trauma with my ability to do that. Because overcoming the um the persecution of my, from my peers, that actually made me strong enough to say, this is me. You don't like me? Okay. I'm not here submitted for your approval. I'm here to live this life. And as much as we say, like, we believe that there are other lives to come, the one we can count on is the one we're in right now. This is the one. So it's like, maybe there's going to be other chances to do things differently, but I'm living in this body in this time right now. And so the body, mind, soul link is about right now. And that's another thing, is that I feel like as witches, we are paying attention to the here and now. And our morality, as it were, is about the here and now. So when we're doing shadow work, we're not saying we're going to be able to make it up in the afterlife, or we're going to whatever, and that's part of the reason why, whether you believe in, other lives and everything or not, the karma, or the whatever it is that you want to call that, you have to, it's how you're behaving right now. It's how you're treating yourself and other people right now, not what's going to happen later, not what happened in a million lives ago or what have you. It's right now. So from a real practical standpoint, I love this because it's like the tally needs to be leveled in this lifetime. We're not going to try to make it up and go in other lives and all kinds of stuff and go digging in it's like, no, this can be done whether you believe in those things or not. We're talking about what's happening right now. And we're saying the parts of you that you think are broken, the parts of you that you think are bad, the things that happen to you, you don't have to feel shame for that. And one of the things is to be able to pull these things out, and be able to integrate, the lessons and say, that maybe something happened. It does not have to define me. Or maybe I've developed either like a survival technique, or, you know, a defense mechanism or whatever, and it's time to let it go. That's okay too. Examining some of these traits or things and saying, I don't want that to be me anymore, actually. I want to work on that so that that's actually not me anymore. We're also not just saying, oh, just take all the, you know, any of the negativity and just love on it and be like, yeah, that's just me. Because if you are doing something that you don't like, maybe it is time to change that. Maybe you developed that as a response to something that happened a long time ago, like in the case of codependency or other traits, and you say, I don't want that to be a part of me. That's not really a part of me. It's something that happened because of things that happened, and now I'm past those things, and now I can let that go.
Yeah, the shadow work allows us to basically, you know, stop reacting to that subconscious stimulus. It allows us to really, you know, get into it and be like, hey, like, oh yeah, maybe I'm making this person feel shame because I feel shame. So I'm projecting it now.
Mhm.
You know, and it's like stopping yourself from doing things like that and being more conscious of how you are treating others and how you're treating yourself.
Yep.
What we
And
don't like in others, we usually don't like in ourselves.
Yep,
What we
exactly.
see, people are mirrors of us,
Mhm.
and I could say I really dislike that person because of the way they react to something. Guess what? Lo and
Mhm.
behold, I act the same way. I
Yeah.
generally
Yep.
don't like my mirror image of me. Caca.
Right? So the other thing that I wanted to say, Leanne, is I know you're being funny when you say, "Oh, I'm a mess. I don't,
Yep.
you know, I don't care. I say I'm a mess." But if we dig a little deeper under that, we say, "No, it's not that you're a mess. Maybe it's that I'm forgetful today. I forgot something and had to go back and get it, or I lost my keys or what have you." But that doesn't make you a mess. But maybe that's something other people have said that you're trying to kind of reclaim and be like, yeah, whatever. You can call me a mess. I don't give a shit about your thoughts. I don't care what your opinions are. I'm me. This is something I'm processing and dealing with. So maybe when we're releasing those feelings that other people have put on us that trigger us at times, like you were saying, Danny, about those kind of like things that kind of put us right back where we were the first time somebody made us feel bad about something about ourselves that we ourselves don't really like, and somebody called attention to it, and then that brought the shame, and now we're trying to heal from that shame. But we also don't have to take on these labels. We don't have to say, I'm a mess. We can just say, I was forgetful today. It's something I'm working on. You know, it's something that I'm working on. And that's it. We don't have to take on those labels that other people may have put on us in the past. And therefore we don't have to say, I'm going to be like this for the rest of my life. Oh, well, it's just who I am. I'm a mess. We can be like, actually, that's something I'm working on and I'm getting better at it.
Yeah.
I
You know what I
agree.
mean? Especially when we develop, if we don't want that thing to be a part of us because it affects us negatively, like, oh, it wastes my time when I have to go back and get something, or it wastes my time when I have to run around looking for something that I've lost. We can actually work on that. And then we don't have to be that person anymore because it's not really who we are. It's like a behavior that we can either do or not do. And so we can work on it. It's like if someone said it's all the things. It's all that, like, oh, you're lazy, or you're whatever, like you're, I don't know, whatever, you're messy, you're this, you're that. But we take on the shame from that, whatever that is. So we take on the shame from that, and then we try to hide that away from the rest of the world because we're like, I don't want people to think I'm messy or I'm lazy or I'm whatever. But then, you know, ultimately we have to say, is that who I am? Or is that something that happened one time and someone made me feel bad about it? You know what I mean? So it's like we need, as witches, we're constantly doing the alchemy of self. We're always hopefully looking to strengthen ourselves, improve ourselves. and improve, therefore, the lives of those around us, the people we love and the people that come into contact with us and the people we serve, the people that we help. And so, you know, we set an example too, in a way, as much as we don't want to be like anybody's example or what have you, we do in a way. And so to be able to say to somebody else, you know what? I go through bouts of forgetfulness too. I go through lack of focus too. It doesn't make me lazy. I have trouble with blah, blah, and I have to do these things to work on that. And here's some things that I can tell you that worked for me, and they can help you too. And then, isn't it? I mean, it's better for everybody, right?
Yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Raises confidence, feeling good about yourself allows you to serve yourself, to serve the gods, and to serve each other. You need that's the recipe right there.
That's it. That's it. So to do this work is to basically strengthen yourself on all levels, whether that's like physical, mental, emotional, from a soul standpoint. It's about stopping self-destructive cycles that self-sabotage you and keep you from going to your highest potential. You're going to feel better. You're going to feel better about yourself. You're going to communicate with other people more. You're going to set better boundaries with other people, and understand what is a violation of your boundaries. You're going to understand your boundaries better. Open up your creativity. Stop being stagnant. You can stop feeling burnt out at work by doing this work, because you're going to feel more nourished. You can enjoy, from a physical standpoint, enjoying increased energy, increased, and even some people say even strengthen your immune system from doing this. So there's mind, body, spirit benefits to doing this work, and from a physical health perspective, this can be life altering from a physical perspective as well as a mental one, and emotional and spiritual. It's on all levels. The shadow work is, it's on all levels. Danny, do you have people come back to you after the classes and tell you stories of how things have changed for them?
I've definitely had people come back, and they, it's wonderful to see their growth, and like when they're like, hey, like I realized this, or they have these epiphanies, and it's just, we're all doing this as a collective in a way, and for so long I feel like it was just something that was brushed under the rug, and people just didn't want to look at it, or they wanted to save face. And people are realizing they don't have to do that anymore, and it's very freeing for them. And they've talked about how it's really a freeing thing.
Yep. I was looking online at some prompts, because you can find some prompts for journaling online. And I've also seen some videos where people are talking through some of these prompts, and it gets very deep. And that's another reason why I was saying, especially if you're already aware that you've got some significant trauma, you probably do want to do this and walk through this with a therapist. But some of the prompts that I was reading, which really made me think, and I'm going to dig more into some of these. What makes you feel alone? That was one of them. And I was like, wow, I'm going to need to spend some time with that. What core memory from your childhood makes you feel angry?
Wow.
Think of a time when you felt rejected. What happened? What caused you to feel rejected? What do you wish you could forgive yourself for? And what makes that hard to do? Who in your life takes up the most emotional energy, and why do you think that is? What makes you feel unworthy of love and belonging, and where do you think that comes from? Or what kinds of things do you do to numb your feelings? What is it that you're trying to avoid? So there's all these kinds of deep thought questions, and journaling some of those out. And you can find more at scienceofpeople.com/shadow-work-prompts. So if you look up shadow work prompts online, you're going to find a bunch. And I would say pick some that resonate, but also realize that as you dig around and uncover this stuff, you're going to want to have somebody, and a therapist might be the best choice, but if you're not going to go down that road, at least someone you really truly trust that's close to you to kind of, you don't have to share it with them. You don't have to share the prompts with them or anything, but to know that, whoa, stop moving the microphone. You're going to want to have somebody know that you're doing this work, just in case, you know what I mean? Because it can uncover a lot of things. It can be very emotional. It can really cause a lot of, stress in the moment. Eventually, the healing is great, but like in that emotional moment, you can definitely be going through a lot. So a good idea to probably have a support system if you're going to dig into some of these prompts and things.
Yeah, and all those prompts are like really great. I love those. And even working with like a therapist and stuff, if you're into deity work, finding, some of the darker deities like, Hecate, or, looking at the Morrigan, or, around, or whatever, being able, Anubis, going into that underworld with you, because you can't have, like Apollo, going down there. It's blinding. You're not going to be able to see the darkness. You need somebody who's comfortable in that darkness to walk that path with you. And that is, such an important part. And if you think about it too, with, if we're looking at mythology, like you were talking about Carl Jung, how he kind of coined the phrase shadow work and shadow self, and how he really brought all of that to be. But if you look at mythology and the lessons that we take and learn from mythology, it's been going on forever. They've been telling us to look at our shadow. When you look at, Carriagewin's cauldron, or, you look at
Inanna.
Yes, descent into the underworld. Yep.
Oh, that reminds me. And since Joanne just showed up, Inanna, when we're talking about the stones that can help you with this work, lapis lazuli. Inanna wore a necklace of lapis. She also had a scepter, lapis. So lapis can help you do this work too. From that standpoint of the psychic side of that stone, not so much I know it's very much associated with, success, good fortune, wealth, et cetera, but it does have a very strong link on the psychic side as well. So lapis is another stone that I would wear when doing this work, or carry, or have a palm stone or something to do with this work. I would definitely say lapis, especially if you're calling in deities. Lapis would work for a number of different deities that are associated with this. Lapis, you said Anubis, so I love lapis. Anything in the Egyptian pantheon, I love lapis for that. So that would work. Definitely, if you're doing more Morrigan and Hecate and stuff, you're going with the black moonstone or obsidian, and and stones of that nature. So black agate, the black banded agate that I was talking about, etc. So yes, absolutely, definitely. Have you been doing that in the workshops that you've done? Have you connected people with a deity, or is that not part of that work?
It is. I do have a section for it, just going over and briefly talking about, like, hey, if you're interested in deities, here's some deities that would be really great for, walking with you through your shadow.
Yep. And I just want to say it's important to actually foster an actual relationship with these deities. It's a real super pet peeve of mine when people are like, I use Hecate for my shadow work. That's not how this works.
No.
That's not how any of this works. It's like you don't use a deity the way you would like use an herb or whatever. Like it's not like that. We don't say if you say like, oh, I use frankincense and myrrh for cleansing. That's one thing. But you don't say I use Hecate for no.
Yeah.
No.
Nobody uses Hecate for anything.
Thank you.
You're lucky. You're fortunate if she'll work with you. If she'll answer the door. Please, people. Are there any other tools that you use when you do your shadow work? Sandra, you just mentioned herbs, and I was going to ask, I know personally that when I am doing shadow work, when I am really meditating alone and writing in my notebook all the stuff I need to work on, I use a lot. I'm heavy with the mugwort. I won't kid you. I'm using a lot of
I
mugwort.
knew you were going to say mugwort. In fact, I almost said it first just because I knew that's where you were going.
Yeah.
Mugwort is wonderful. I love mugwort. It's a great thing to open up your mind. I also suggest using agrimony to help you face your fears, because there's a lot of fear in the shadow work, and agrimony, whether you carry it in, a mojo bag or you burn some as incense, can really help that as well.
I've been hearing a lot lately about whorehound.
I can't myself. Yes. Follow.
People, if you haven't seen that video yet, please go watch it.
Follow Pentagram on TikTok there, and watch me make a fool of myself. It's great. It's a lot of fun. And take a look at Zodiac Tea Room. Soon we'll be having the voice of Tim Reagan discuss astrology.
Yay. Wow. I love that.
Yes. I love this.
So one of the things that I brought up Brene Brown, and one of the things that Brene Brown talks about with regard to shame is there's a profound difference between shame and guilt. And I wanted to get this out there as well.
Mm-hmm.
I believe, this is Brene speaking, I believe that guilt is adaptive and helpful. It's holding something we've done or failed to do up against our values and feeling psychological discomfort. That's not the same as shame.
Nope.
So no one is trying to say that you should like eliminate all feelings of, anything. If you feel badly about something that you did that is wrong, that's actually, keep that. No one's saying to eliminate that. No one's saying just go through life doing whatever the heck you want and never feel any guilt over any of it. No, that's definitely not when we're integrating that shadow self, we're not saying we're now proud of all of our faults. It's not about that. Sometimes we have genuine faults. It's not that we're now all of a sudden we're like, yay, if you're a person that, I don't know, cuts people off in traffic or whatever, I'm not telling you to go be proud about it. I'm saying basically, guilt has a purpose. Guilt shows us, when we do something wrong, that prompts us to go back and make it right. That prompts us to go back and say sorry, and actually try to make up for something that we did that was not good, and I'm not saying every action we ever do as witches is great. It's not. So it's like we need to be able to identify the difference between shame and guilt. Guilt actually has a purpose. So if you do something bad, you snap at somebody for no reason or whatever, you do want to be able to go back with, and be able to identify that you were in the wrong. And we're definitely not saying, oh, when you do shadow work, you find out that you were never, ever, ever in the wrong. No, that's not what it is either. But it's about, if we can work on some of these things, then we do. And at least we acknowledge their existence. And we just try to constantly you know, try to improve, ourselves and our lives. It's like, that's kind of part of, I think, what we're here for, is to grow and learn from the past, learn and do something differently in the future. So how are you going to do that if you don't have a function like guilt to be able to say, hey, that wasn't so great. You didn't necessarily handle that the best. Maybe go back and make amends. You have to be able to do that. That's not the same thing as shame. Shame tends to come at us because of what we think other people are going to say about what we did, about what society would say about who we are or what we do. There's like a whole thing online also about healing the witch wound, which is for people that are actually have, shame about being witches because of the families they were raised in, or the societies they were raised in, the communities they were raised in, making them feel badly for these beliefs. And so that's a whole nother thing in terms of how this relates to witches, that's a whole nother kind of side of that healing process. And that shadow work is to love that part of yourself that believes differently, and to be okay with maybe not everybody in the world accepting that, because we're not going to gain acceptance from everyone. That's a losing game. If you're going to try to be accepted by everybody in this lifetime, I don't think anybody should take that on. I don't think it's possible, but we've got to have acceptance with ourselves. We've got to work towards that self-acceptance. So, and part of that is getting rid of the parts about, of ourselves that we can get rid of that we don't like. If you don't like something about yourself, change it. At least try to change it. You know what I mean? And try to heal up from it. So,
yeah.
It's all great. I'm so excited you came on, Danny. So when's your class?
So the first one, I believe, is September 22nd. Yep. So that's Shadow Work Part 1. And I believe there's still tickets available. And then I'm doing a secondary class for people who are more advanced with shadow work, or who have taken Part 1, and that's going to be in November 10th, I believe. Both are Fridays.
Nice.
Excellent.
Love it.
Love it. Get your tickets. There's some good stuff coming up.
Yes, definitely. So one of the quotes that I also wanted to share is from Rumi, who's a poet that I absolutely adore. And it says, your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. God, I love that. I think I'm going to print that out. I think I'm going to print that out and put it somewhere where I'm going to look at it.
I think that's amazing.
Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Anyway, Danny, thanks so much for joining us and talking with us about shadow work. And I hope that people are able to join that class. And Danny, that's available online as well. Am I right?
Yes, absolutely.
So you don't have to come to Salem to take that class. Am I right?
Yep, absolutely right.
So you can sign up and you can take it anywhere that you can access via the computer. Anywhere you've got Wi-Fi, you can take that class with Danny. And speaking of that, you do have to be in person with me, though, this Sunday. So this Sunday is the Crystals workshop at Gallows Hill Witchery. So there's still seats available for that. That's going to be a fun time. So if you are in Salem, or you can get to Salem this Sunday, come hang out with me and let's do some crystals together.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, until we see each other again next month.
Yep. Oh, and Spirit Beacon, guys. September 17th is Spirit Beacon. Danny, are you going to be there? You're going to be there, right? Are you going to be at Spirit Beacon? No. Leanne is, though.
I am.
Leanne is. Tim is. Joanne D. She's going to be there. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. A bunch of psychics are going to be there. So a bunch of psychics are going to be there. So plan to come this August. It's right off of Route 1. Literally, like you take the exit and there it is. You can see it from the exit. So it's so close and it's going to be a blast. And we've got new vendors and our favorite vendors everybody loves at Spirit Beacon are coming back. New vendors are signing up. So, and I still have a few tables. So if you vend something and you want to contact me. Go on Gallows Hill Witchery on Facebook and contact me, or go on Spirit Beacon on Facebook and contact me. All right, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Thanks for being here.